she can tell you. Yes. Oh, still more heart. She's steady.
You just help somebody because you helped me too. What you got? Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have you. Listen, it's 2022, TOO. Also, a lot of people trying to say it's 2020 all over again. I rebuke that. We ain't doing it, okay? Listen, I'm so excited to have my first Mommy Monday of 2022. Listen, all this month we are chatting with moms who are part of Greek organizations. And of course, I had to start with the first and the finest. So I'm excited to have my big sister, amazing mom, wife, businesswoman, entrepreneurial. I mean, she just does all the things. And of course, she's one of the best alums of the Alabama State University. So joining me tonight is my amazing sister, Miss Tiffany. Hello, beautiful.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, sis.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Listen, I will not complain, not one bit, because life is good. We are here in 2022.
We are.
So I want you to tell people who you are, what you do, and then most importantly, why you do it.
Okay. So I am Tiffany Cannon Lewis. I currently reside in Frisco, Texas. I'm married to Jarmel. We will celebrate 12 years in June. We have 2 boys. Cannon is 4, soon to be 5 on the 22nd, and Channing is 1. So by day, when I am not mommy and wife and daughter and sister and auntie and all of those titles, I am an internal audit manager for a buildings materials company.
Okay, listen, I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's a lot. It's not. Let me tell you, one of the most organized, one of the most strategic people I know. It's my sister Tiffany. We can always depend on her when something's happening, when an event is going down. She has everything in order. Even when she don't want to do it, she stepped in because she knows
that part.
She knows that she's one of the only people. If you want something done, usually people say do it yourself, but if you want something done, that's Tiffany. Okay, listen.
That's so sweet. But I'm gonna start teaching people how to do it themselves.
Right, but don't ask her, okay? Don't ask her. Listen, I want to talk quickly before we jump into everything we're talking about with the organization. As Alabama State University graduates, one of the things
to represent.
Yes. As one of the things that people talk about a lot is how we meet our mates in school and how we meet our mates in college. Some people go to college just to find their husband or their wife. Talk a little bit about your love story and how you met your amazing hubby.
So Jarmel, unfortunately, is not a graduate of Alabama State, but he did attend an HBCU. So he graduated from Tuskegee. We met like many people in college do, just like at a social gathering. He's an alpha. And so we had a lot of interactions between the 2 organizations. We became friends. And then, here we are.
And I think people always forget like how the HBCU love stories are just so beautiful. Tuskegee is right down the road.
Right down. And we had many road trips to parties and all of that stuff. So
yes. And of course, he's a part of our brother organization, Alpha Phi Alpha. And we're here today to chat a little bit about
funny story.
Yes,
so I think the way I initially met Jarmel, I'm not sure if you went that night, but the semester was just starting, like spring semester of maybe 2006. So you all were almost a year in. And then I remember it was Keon and I don't know who else were like, we're going to a party in Tuskegee. Do you want to go with us? And I had class that night. And so I was like, let me think about it. But you know how we were. We were very protective of you all and trying to, keep an eye on you when you were far away.
Making sure we're just doing what we're supposed to do.
So I went. And that's how we initially met.
You look at there. Look if you had just been studious and stayed and
Hanging out with PDI. Right.
hanging out with PDI. That's how it happens.
Mhm,
But I
mhm.
mean, that's what sisterhood is all about. There's a sense of love and care, and
Mhm,
protection that's there. And tonight, that's really what we want to talk about. How beautiful sisterhood can be.
mhm.
It's for some, it's not for others. So, talk
Right.
a little bit about some of the relationships that you've built just being a part of the amazing Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
So, I mean, I have so many, but some of my longest relationships with some of my sisters actually started before we were members. So we connected in college, and you know how when you get that trusted group, you feel comfortable in telling them this is what I want to do, right? And then from there we kind of stayed connected, and so we knew um, this is our goal. We worked towards it together. Once flyers went up, when events were happening, we were in there together, and doing the whole phone game. Did you see this? Do you know this is happening? All that kind of stuff. So that's where some of my longest relationships that are connected to the organization came from. They started before, and then of course, just with my line sisters, just when you're able to be there for each other throughout the various phases of life, right? Just from college students to professionals moving into wifehood, motherhood, whatever season it is, right? Just supporting each other. I talk to a few of my line sisters almost every day, and they support me whether I just need someone to talk to professionally, um, if I need to vent about Jarmel or whatever. And then I have line sisters that are educators, right? And so Cannon will be 5. He's in transitional kinder. It's a lot. He has homework every week, books he's supposed to read, and all of this stuff at 4. Some days he comes in, he's on top of it, he does what he needs to do. Other days, Cannon is trying me, and I'm like, oh, okay, are you starting with me today? But I have 2 line sisters, Ariel and Jackie. So Ariel is a counselor now. Jackie is a kindergarten teacher, and so they have to reel me back in because I don't play about education. Like a lot of things I'm passionate about, and education is one, right? And so they're like, wait, Tiffany, he's young, maybe you should do this, give him a timer, if he's working on a worksheet, or approach it this way. So I just value having those relationships. And then even when I get outside of the sorors that were on campus when I was there, right? So I'm currently a member of the Chi Zeta Omega chapter in Texas, and we service Plano, Collin County, and some of the surrounding areas. And my current president is actually a Beta Pi big sister. And so we connected when I joined the chapter. And it's still like, I have that confidant, I have that person I can go to and talk about whatever, because her kids are older, but she's been at this season in her life before where she's trying to balance different things. And so, I mean, those are some of the kind of benefits that I really enjoy.
And it's one of the beautiful things. Welcome, Jackson. It's one
Hey,
of the
Jason.
beautiful things about, being a part of this particular sisterhood is the levels of life
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
they kind of maneuver with you. Like you said, moving from being a college student to being a mom from college students to being a wife to being a
Hmm.
mom,
Hmm.
and even in your professional career, having sisters kind of in all of those phases
Yes.
that you're able to talk to and go to.
And to be there with you and celebrate you. Like I remember, so I remember, I don't know if you remember, when I got engaged, I had just moved to Texas.
I do remember.
And then it was actually like the first weekend, maybe I moved to Texas, I got engaged, and I still hadn't moved all of my stuff from Atlanta. And so then I went back to Atlanta a few weeks later, and you and Tay and some other people, Tish, I think Keon, we went out, we celebrated the engagement, we did all of that. And then, just from being at the wedding, sending baby shower gifts, offering advice, just all of that, just having people that can grow with you, right? It's just, you don't have to sometimes, work on or have the time to kind of foster new relationships a lot of times, and just having those people that you may not talk to every day, but you have that connection of sisterhood. You have those memories and experience from college and those times that bonded you together, and knowing whenever you need them for whatever it is, you can call and be like, oh yeah, listen to me talk about this, or what do you think about this, or, whatever it is.
And that's so true, because I know, like, as I've made this transition from college to mom and wife, there have been times where, I'll say something, or I may post something on social media like, oh my God, this is so great, this is so amazing. And I've had big sisters who 2 or 3 days later, I get something in the mail. I'm like, what? They said, Ebony, you never asked for anything. You never asked for anything. I saw you said you wanted, I just sent it in the mail. And it's something beautiful about that connection. People just knowing your heart, and knowing the love and care and time and attention that they have for you. And, I may not have been close to everybody on 79, but they made me feel close, just from a call or a text or congratulations, or just that sisterly connection. But, there's some people who long for sisterhood and just aren't sure. Somebody may watch this who's interested in joining an organization, or who's, in college now, considering it, or maybe graduated and wasn't able to do it while they were in undergrad. Talk a little bit about, that desire, because I know it's not for everybody.
Right. So yes. So Greek life is definitely not for everyone, right? And so I would say my first, I'm not an only child. I had an older sister growing up. She passed away. And that was like another time, my sister circle showed up for me. But just when I first started college, I came to Alabama State. I didn't really know anyone there. I hadn't even visited the campus. When it was kind of, I had my mind made up that I was going somewhere else. And like at the very end, I decided, okay, I'm going here. So I was really kind of alone. Like I knew some people, but nobody I was really close with. And so I remember my parents dropped me off and I was the only one in my suite that night. I was staying in Estelle on the 5th floor. And so I'm originally from Chicago. And my parents moved to Alabama. Like we moved to Alabama when I was in high school. And so when I was moving in, my mom talks a lot. I think everybody that knows my mom, she'll talk to anybody, like she never meets a stranger. So I'm in there unpacking and she's out in the hall talking. So she comes back in and she says, oh, I just met some girls in the hall. They live next door. They're from Maywood, which is a suburb of Chicago. And I was like, oh, okay. So, we finished the room doing all of this. Fast forward, her and my dad and my sister leave. And it's me and the walls and nobody else in the suite. And I'm like, I'm bored. I like to do stuff, talk. So I'm like, this is not going to work. So I leave out of my room. I go to the next suite. Had no idea who was in there. I didn't know which room they were in the suite. So I'm like listening at the door, trying to see which room I hear noise coming from. And then I knock on the door. And they open. It's like 3 girls in the room. And I was like, hey, I'm Tiffany. I live next door. My mom said she met someone from Chicago. And I'm bored. So I'm just trying to see. And they were like, hey, we're all from Chicago. Come in. Bam. That was my first, sister circle at Alabama State, right? Freshman year. Met them first day on campus. We are still friends to this day. 22 22 years later.
Beautiful.
And and just to even talk about just the importance of having that circle, right? And it doesn't always come with Greek life. Out of that group, uh some of us are AKs, there's a Delta, and there are Zetas. And so, but we can still support each other. When we were in school, even though we joined different organizations, we were still there for each other, supporting whichever way we could as friends during their process, whatever it is, right? Still the same way now in adulthood. So that's the first thing I would say. Just because, like, you're looking for a circle, right? It's more important for you to find that circle that you're going to connect with versus just trying to connect with an organization to find it. It may not be within an organization for you. And then if it is, there are tons of other organizations, some that focus on different things that you may be able to find that sisterhood in as well. It could be a professional organization. I know when we were in school, a lot of people did professional organizations or organizations geared towards interests, whether it's music or the arts or like whatever it is. And so just don't get caught up on I have to be a part of a sorority, of a National Panhellenic Council sorority for me to have a sisterhood, because that just may not be your story.
Yeah, and that's such a great point that you make, because a lot of times people are so focused on being a part of an organization that they're not taking the time to cultivate the friendships that they have around them.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many people that we come across every day. Like you said, you encounter these people first day, and,
Mm-hmm.
and, and some of them are part of different organizations, but you all built
Mm-hmm.
a bond from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we pay attention to those around us, the
Mm-hmm.
people we're immediately connected with, and obviously as a believer myself, I'm very intentional about discernment. Like, okay, God, I think that's a big part of the
Mm-hmm.
decisions that I make. And so for those of you out there that are considering whether or not you want to be a part of an organization, research.
Yeah.
All the information is there. It's 2022. All,
Oh.
you know, be a good person in general, just as
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and make good relationships with people outside of your desire to be a part of an organization. And the other side of that too is, when you leave college and now you have these organizations. I know you talked a little bit about the president of your current chapter being a Beta
Mm-hmm.
Pi soror. Talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about the impact that being a part of a sisterhood has had on you as a professional. I know in your career you're doing some amazing things, but talk a little bit about the impact that it's had on your career over time.
So I think just having, so I will say this. A lot of times when you're talking about the professional aspect of it, you may get different advice, right? Some people say they don't put their organization on their resumes. Some people, because they don't want, any bias or anything to come from it. Some people say, I definitely do, because I want them to see the work that I do in the organization. So personally, I don't have it on my resume, not because I don't I feel like it'll be counted negatively against me, or I'm worried about encountering someone from another organization that may um, feel away. I just have enough on there to kind of to get me where I need to be, and I feel I just have enough experience there. But I do think it could be a good thing for people to put down on their resume, right? Like, I hire frequently for my company, and if I see a soror, which I have before, and she has it listed on, she was coming right out of college, so she didn't have a lot of professional experience, but she had her sorority experience on there. Like, of course, I'm going to give her the interview and try to make sure I look out for her and do what I can, and even at the very end, just let her know that is something that we have in common. But I think just I've encountered a lot of sorors at different events, whether it's like professional training or even during my internship. And it's just that special feeling you have for each other, like, oh, this is my sister, and so I'm gonna look out for her. You kind of feel like that person is a confidant, even if you don't know them very well, but it's just something about them. And like you said, of course you have to use discernment, right? But a lot of times you just get that warm feeling, like, this is a person that I can kind of lean on, I can use as a sounding board or whatever that may be.
Right. And notice what she said for those of you listening. She looked at the resume, and her being part of the organization added to. So that means you still gotta have the skills.
Because you can only lean on the shield so far, because I am serious about my career, and what I'm not gonna do is put you in a place that you're not prepared and equipped for, no matter what organization you're connected to. That's not how I operate. But I will say, if I see someone come across and they are in an organization or went to an HBCU, I definitely push them up to the top of the pile.
Listen,
because I'm all about, everyone else does it, right? So, and that's what we're supposed to do.
Right. And don't act like you don't. I know somebody will see it and they'll make the comment, oh, we don't do that. That's not
Yes,
true.
you do.
Yes, you do.
I've been in the rooms. I've sat at the tables. I'm well aware.
Yes. Well,
I've been in interviews where candidates come in and they're not even prepared, right? Or they're not even qualified for the job. But I'm in Texas, right? But they have that Texas A&M class ring on, and it's like, oh yeah, they're ready. Yeah, no, they're not. I know how it goes.
Listen, and it's such a great thing. I think that people sometimes don't value the education of those that come from HBCUs when we have produced over 75% of Black doctors and lawyers are coming from HBCUs, and they're producing people who are making significant change in our communities, and all over the world. And so HBCUs matter. We're just gonna throw that
definitely matter.
The fact that we have people who look like us that are coming up through the ranks, getting their education, and are choosing to go out into the world and make a difference. And so one of the other things we want to talk about before we go tonight, there are multiple organizations. There'll be other moms from organizations going on tonight. Talk a little bit about the cross connection. I know you have your friends that you've had from the first day at Alabama State. Talk about the cross connection of sisterhood, being connected with women of Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, SG Rho, and what those friendships look like to be able to, love on one another. And then in certain seasons of your life, you throw a little something in there. Now, don't forget the birds, those conversations. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I have friends in other organizations, almost every other sorority, except for maybe SG Rho. I don't think I have a SG Rho friend, but moving along. So Carcel is one of my really good friends. She's a Zeta. And Carcel is one of the ones I met my first day at Alabama State. And so she, I don't know. We've always been close since we were in school, from trying to get the latest phone when it dropped. We're like, oh, you're ready, let's go, doing this ridiculous stuff for these to try to, or paying this, what was ridiculous at the time, right? Hundreds of dollars when you're a college student for the phones. And we just stay in touch. Sometimes we may not speak for months, but when we do, it's like we haven't lost the beat. If there's anybody selling AKA apparel that she's connected to, or she sees something, she's definitely the one that is going to tag me in all of the Facebook and Instagram posts, like, did you see this? Did you know this? And of course, we'll throw our little shade here and there, but it's all love. Like, she comes up, I think, homecoming. She was there, homecoming. And so she was like, oh, I need to come find you. I went over to the Zeta Sigma tent looking for her. I didn't find her. We eventually, linked up. We had our picture. I was with my people. It wasn't any like, oh, what's she coming over here for? Because, they know that's my girl. and we just hang out because we're friends outside of the organization, right? And that's what you have to do. You can't join the organization and then let it completely change who you are as a person. And no, I said let it completely change. There should be some changes.
Good
That
change.
you make good changes as a part of the organization, but that's a topic for another day. But it doesn't mean that you have to forget the people you were connected to before, or treat them any differently or anything like that, or be like, I can only be with AKAs now, or I can only be with deltas now, and like that's not really how it works.
Yeah. And I mean, I experienced that for myself. I had a person that called themselves my friend. I most
Mm-hmm.
definitely would not say they're my friend, but called themselves my friend. And once I became a member of the organization, they were like, "Oh, you've changed. You've become a different person."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, no, it's just that I'm not going to do some of the things that I did
Right.
before." And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that those things were bad, but those things just are no longer for me because that's not how I want to represent myself. So just because
Exactly.
I won't go with you to this place or do these things that I used to do doesn't mean that I changed for the negative. It just means that I changed for the betterment of myself.
Yeah, and
Mm.
sometimes you just have to make adjustments, right? Because like when you're in school, especially if you are a popular, person on campus, when once you become connected to an organization, everything you do is connected, right? Whether it has something to do with that organization or not. You can be at an event for a totally different organization that you may be a part of, but it's going to be like, oh, the AKA Ebony or the AKA. So you just have to be mindful of those type of things. And that's the, sometimes what causes some of the change that people see and may interpret as something, negative
Yeah.
about the whole
And
you change
that's
thing.
so true. So true. Because even after joining the military, people talk about soldiers and the way they live their lives and who they
Mm-hmm.
are when they're in the uniform. But I'm like, let me tell you something. If they was robbing and stealing before they became in the military, they put the
They'll do
uniform
the
on,
same thing. Mm-hmm.
they're gonna still do the same. They just
Mm-hmm.
putting on a uniform. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that I do caution people who decide or are deciding whether or not they want to join an organization. Be something that you add value to it and it adds value to you. And so that's a really important element to me because if you're joining and becoming a part of my organization, I want you to be adding value to it as I
Right.
feel anybody would. If a corporate company, anything you're doing in society, civil actions, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you're doing, it's
Mutual benefit.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then what I try to tell people is that keep in mind you will have things in common interests, common goals, but people are different.
Yes.
And so don't come in expecting one type of person, because you're going to interact with so many different people.
Right.
I think it actually helps with your, being a team player ability, and all of that. I mean, I credit my time in the sorority as well as all of my presentations in the BA, for me being
Yeah.
able to either work in or manage a team.
Yes.
You just have to learn how to navigate people, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's
Mm-hmm.
so important because being a team player, I mean, it's a group. It's a group of women. It's a
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
team
You're
players.
like minded, but you're not the same.
Yes, exactly. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You have to know how to have a little conflict resolution
Mm-hmm.
skills. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
all type of skills
Yeah.
that you use. So we've been here 30 minutes, and I just want you before you go, just give us your organization, something from being a mom or a wife, but three things that you would want people to hold on to or take away from this particular conversation as they leave for the night.
Um, I think the first thing is find your circle, right? You have to find your group. And what that group looks like is going to be completely up to you. But you have to make sure it's composed of people that are going to cheer you on, people that are going to give you the honest truth when you need it, um, people that can just encourage you, people that can pray for you, like a real heaven will hear this prayer. Not some of that just, help my sister, amen. Like, no, we need, you need some people that are going to labor in front of the Lord on your behalf, and will do it selflessly. um so I mean, I think that's the main thing from just our conversation, but just a couple of other things as far as kids are concerned. um I think you get out of them what you put in, right? And so it's our job, it's our duty to pour into our kids. And when I say our kids, I'm still like a new-ish mom, because my oldest is just about to be 5, but I've been um the TT for 22 years. And so I think whatever, kids you are connected to, it is your job, it is your duty to invest in them, from a spiritual perspective, educational, just, because we get out of them what we pour into them. And you cut out a little bit. I think you said it could be about marriage.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, marriage is hard work.
Yes. Tell them
Don't
again, sis.
don't let anybody tell you it is not. It is hard. And you need to block all of the you know, thoughts or whatever you may have been told about how your grandma stayed for 40 years or 50 years in this place. That is not the current world we live in. Marriage is hard work. Yes, it is great for if you have kids to grow up in a 2-parent household. But the most important thing is for kids to see happy, healthy, mentally strong parents. And so I think we just need to remember that.
Listen.
Because a lot of the things we're dealing with or we're trying to overcompensate for is because of our grandmothers or great grandmothers staying in places too long when it no longer served them.
Yes. Yes and amen to all of that.
It's work.
And one of the things we say all the time is that, we can't raise our children the way that we were raised. And we just can't, because of the things that our parents experienced and grandparents experienced are not what we're experiencing. We have a duty to show our children empathy and love and care, and not belittle them in ways that we were belittled as kids and we didn't even know it,
Right.
just by the things people said and did to us. And so y'all heard what she said.
And one extra one, there are seasons, right, in every phase of your life. Stop comparing where you are to everyone's highlight reel / their social media. If you are friends with me, you probably think this girl posts nothing. I really don't. I'll post some pictures of the kids here and there because my family and friends are like, post up this so we can see the boys. But just remember, people post what they want you to see. And so don't, all of this relationship goals, just come up with what you want your own relationships to look like, because you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Woo, honey, you just helped somebody. Because
I hope so.
They listen, they don't understand. My husband and I, you guys going on 12 years. Cedric and I are going on 10 years. And so it's work. It's not easy.
And different seasons.
And you don't see everything. And nobody's showing all of their life. And that's why I tell people, don't be so committed and tied to social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Now you got
take it for what it is.
TikTok, whatever.
Yeah, take it for what it is, and don't. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, big sister.
No problem,
I appreciate you. I know her schedule is tight. Okay, we squeeze.
It's busy season. I'm trying to get financial statements and controls review, but I had to come through. For myself. I told her I would, and so I'm a
And she is
woman
a
of my
woman of her
word.
word. There it is. Yes. Thank you so much, big sister. I appreciate you guys. We're going to
Anytime.
pray before we go, as we always do. God, we thank you for
Mhm.
your clarity. We thank you that in all things that our minds will think of you, our eyes will see you, our mouths will speak of you, our ears will hear you, our hearts will beat for you, the blood flowing through our veins will be for you, our hands will be lifted to worship you, and that we will walk within the footsteps that you have designed. And that anytime we lay down to rest, that we'll awaken, refresh, renewed, and restored. And it's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. This has been Mommy Mondays. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm sure she can feel it. Yes. Oh, still in her heart. She's there.
You just help somebody because you helped me too. What you got?